Anyway, this is changed from it's a different A to Z, or mostly different A to Z than what you've seen in the past for those of you who have seen it. Uh, so we've added a lot of things that are relatively new to Hawaii, or things that Frankie or I brought in um, when people can ship to the U.S. I don't know, Lisa, if you heard this, that just got back the day after the storm from Thailand and Japan. In Thailand, I collected over 5,000 seeds, even golf ball size poha, and I had all the permits and all the phyto from Thai Department of Ag. Shipped it from Chiang Mai to Bangkok, and Bangkok says, "Oh, we don't ship anything to the U.S. anymore." So there was quite a problem in, can't get stuff the way we used to. So
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Kim.
yeah, I know it's pain, even with all the help from Lisa and Mary at APHIS, and it just you just need a new boss's boss, so to speak. So I guess we gotta wait 2.5 more years. Uh, anyway, hey Matt,
Yeah.
should I I'll
Yeah, you
just
can we can start now.
how just tell you because you're doing the PowerPoint, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'll just tell you. Uh, and if anybody has any questions, they can either write them at the end, or I have no problem with you interrupting uh, if you have a pressing question, but you'll need to unmute before you do it, because when I get on to the next one, I don't want to have to go back too much. All right. Any questions before we start, or anything anyone wants to know from the beginning before we start? Well, that was easy. Um, anyway, I'm just going to go through some of the fruit. This is HTFG, Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers Fruit of the Year. Um, it used to be called Redia uh, humulus, and and the taxonomists changed things, and clumpers and spreaders, etc. And so now it's Garcinia humulus. But most people who've really had a good one when they're orange and not yellow say it's better than mangosteen. So it's just a great. Plus, it produces in 7, 8 years more than 20. After 8 years, we had 150 pounds on one tree. 9 years, it was over 230 pounds, I think. So it's a good producer, relatively short period of time, big seed, but great, great taste. That white, fluffy, sweet, cloud-like center. Um, and they're easy to see. They're like loquat, though. You people tend to pick loquat when they go from green to yellow, and "Ew, these are sour." Well, they're supposed to be orange, and it's the same with these things. You wait till they get orange, and then they get sweeter. Okay, Matt. Thanks. This is thanks to Tracy and USDA. This is a new one we're working with. Um, it's a first cousin to macadamia nut from North Queensland. It hangs on a big tree that could get to be 100 feet tall. Uh, just bright blue like that. Even the pictures don't really do it justice. It's just a beautiful blue color that hang all around the canopy. Um, they taste not great, but they taste like almonds, and I'm not a big almond fan, but they're pretty good. We got takes about 2 months to germinate, and so we've got about 50 of them started now. That HTFG, at least here in Kona, sells trees for $30 on every Saturday, at least every Saturday that I'm in Kona. So we've got these now and a few other new ones for those of you who've been here before. Okay, Matt. Alupag, this is on the list before. Um, People still argue about the botanic name of this one too. I tend to use the one um, that's used by the University of the Philippines. This is out of lychee and rambutan, pulasan. To me, this is probably the best tasting one. It's like a cinnamon flavored lychee. The problem is, you look at the seed, the size of the seed compared to the meat, and they're all pretty much like that. So it's a terrible seed to meat ratio. But the flesh is itself, once you take the time to eat it, is just amazingly good. And I think they have them in on both sides of the island at well, Experiment Station in Hilo, but I'm not sure. I think the one in Kona was taken down. I have to ask Andrea about that. Yeah, Matt. Biwa or loquat. This is one of my perennial favorites because I spent 6 years in Japan working with these fruit. And you can kind of see in the middle left side is my hand holding two fruit each. That's about 100, about 7 ounces of just the two fruit. So they can get really big when you cut the flowers back and you prune some of the leaves back. In Taiwan, they count the number of leaves per fruit. And each panicle only has three fruit on it. All the other little ones are taken off, and over time, these things will get pretty big and really sweet. Again, if you wait until they get orange instead of yellow. Um, in Tomiura, a couple hours outside of Tokyo in Chiba, they have the Tomiura Biwa Club, kind of Michino Eki, and they have over 3,000 items made from loquat at the for sale there. Now, on the middle right is multiple fruit. There's from our old 12 Trees project, but the base is loquat, and it's a fruit terrine. And the upper right is from Hong Kong chop suey, where they had Mongolian beef and loquat. So the things aren't just to eat out of hand, but can be used for. We make a lot of jelly, and actually loquat chutney is a favorite in the Bahamas. Is really good too. And that 3,300 yen or three or $30 down below for the 12 fruit is now $55 for that size of fruit. Okay, Matt. Balimbi and Buddha's hand. Balimbi, I mean, it's so sour, people know, what can you do with it? Well, we juice it and we use it as a replacement for vinegar in mango chutney and hot and sour soup. That, or if I'm out of that, or it's off season, the little green star fruit when I'm thinning the fruit to get larger star fruit. We don't waste those either, but we'll pickle them or do it. These things too, we cut them the long way and then dry them and quarter them actually lengthwise, dry them, and then you cook them down and reconstitute them in a lime juice or Rangpur lime juice with all the pickling spices, and you get a Indian achar or Indian chutney type of thing. You know, spice, really spicy, but it's really good flavor then. And Buddha's hand or Bushukan in Japanese is another great fingered citron. Uh, it's called Bushukan or Buddha's hand because it's put on the home altars in Japan, and because the odor is so nice. So if you come over later on in the year and they're having this flowering like crazy right now, we have them. You can scratch the skin and get an idea of how good it is. Okay, Matt. Ceylon gooseberry or Kitimbila. We thought this was gone, and then 20 years ago, I was wandering around. There was the old Maka Railroad bed above Holualoa, and I found a couple trees up there. Um, in the 30s, this was one of the most popular fruits in Hawaii. They made papaya jelly with the Ceylon gooseberry or kitambila because it's sour and it has enough acid. So when you mix it with papaya, it can be a safe jelly. Um, but it's really good. Uh, the war did away with it. Nobody was around to make it anymore, but um, it's definitely worth trying if you see them at um, our market or one of the farmers markets. Okay, Matt. Chempedak, I just added. A lot of you may know it as first cousin of jackfruit. Kind of looks like jackfruit hanging on the tree. Um, totally different taste. You can see the one that's half open that was in Borneo, and it wasn't pollinated that well, but was given to a friend of mine who used to run the experiment stations in Sarawak. And we wolfed it down, and now the trees are here from those seeds. So anybody who wants a Chempedak seed, that's another tree we have. Hey, Matt. Garcinia Koa. I've given out in the last few years a lot of these trees people have come and bought. Um, the only place you could taste the fruit besides here is you'd have to go to South India. It's the only producing tree in the state that I have, and it's really I like it better than mangosteen too. To me, mangosteen is too cloyingly sweet, and this has a kind of sweet tart. Sweet tarts used to be my favorite candy, and probably why I have diabetes. But it's really a unique flavor. It's also used. The rinds are salted and used uh, to make. And once the salt's washed off and then it's dried, they have they make kokum butter. Most of my friends in South India, they have a little glass of kokum water or kokum juice every morning made from the dried rinds of this thing. Like those $40 bottles of mangosteen juice they had years ago. This is the original and pretty unique. There's a ton of fruit on the tree right now, but it's small and green, so you got to wait. And we have the red one, the yellow one. The seeds came from the yellow one, but it came out red, which is happens sometimes. It's kind of like um, when you plant a black Suriname cherry and it comes out red. Sometimes the seeds just revert to original. Okay, Matt. Um, some of you know I was a photojournalist in a previous life and pretty good with ambush journalism with a camera. And so this is a friend of mine's wife happened to a friend of my wife's came over when I just happened to have a camera with me and a durian outside, and I said, "Here, try this." And that was the reaction to it because it was ripe and ready to go. It's still one of the most economically viable crops for here. I mean, Thai Town in LA will buy a container load a day, and we're just not doing it. And Mexico's going to beat us to it pretty soon because they can just truck them up. But we sell during the Hilo side $6 to $8 a pound. We just do small, medium, large, and extra large, and it can go from 25 to $50 for one fruit. And right now, the some of the trees are just loads of flowers or flower buds just starting, at least on this side. And every part of the island is a different season, and other islands have different times of the year, particularly Kauai. So some places they're in October, while we have them for Christmas, and other years it's opposite. It just depends on the wet and dry part because the dry triggers flowering. And along with 0050 will trigger flowering in durian as well as mango and garcinias and sweetened citrus and watermelon, etc. Okay, Matt. Egg fruit, highest concentration of vitamin A. Um, Most people I know don't really like it by itself, but as put in a smoothie or something, it's really good. I'll let it get really soft and just spread it or mix it with cream cheese and thin it out and make a dip or something. And it has that kind of really sweet potatoy flavor. And the texture is more potato-like, a little bit softer. Okay. Finger limes just had to harvest a bunch for adaptations this morning. You can't keep up with them. Um, One of the things is the must try is taking a finger lime, like three of them. I cut off both ends and you can kind of roll it out with a little rolling pin, but put it in guacamole. It's just like totally amazing. Whole new dimension. Okay, green sapote is probably my favorite fruit, different from black sapote, which people call chocolate sapote. But this tastes like the chocolate pudding that my mother made in the 50s, you know. I mean, it's really it's way different than the persimmon type of sapote. Like black sapote is persimmon, white sapote is a citrus, green sapote is a sapote, like mamey sapote or abiu and other Puteria family things. But these are really great tasting if you when you can find them. Okay. Grumi Chama, um, kind of cross between, it tastes like a cross between black cherry and Jabote Kava to me. They're just flowering now, and usually April, May, they're ready to enjoy. The problem is beating the birds to them. If we had a greenhouse going, here where we grew these inside, they would be like a really big hit. And I mean, there's a difference. In Japan, a lot of these great fruit that you hear about from there, even those $100 mangoes, they're all grown inside greenhouses, which right away takes out most of the threats from pests. But in Japan, the government pays 50% of the cost of a greenhouse, the national government. The local government pays 20% of the cost. And so a farmer only has to cost 30% of a greenhouse. Our greenhouse here was 30 by 30 was $267,000. Of course, we had to have all the concrete around it for USDA and all that, but there's a difference, from terms of what our government puts into the future of ag. So get them to buy you a greenhouse. That's all. Okay, Matt. Yep. Um, this one is more in reference. We were selling persimmons to Choice Mart here in Captain Cook, 50 cents a piece, right? So five persimmons is 250 that we would get, and then they'd mark them up whatever they're going to mark up. And they really pretty just pick them and clean them and that's it. Well, I started thinking I really like dry persimmons, so from Japan or Hoshigaki. So I made this sheet up how to make dried persimmons, and I put it in a plastic bag with the five persimmons and a piece of string, and they bought that for 4.99. So instead of the 250 for the five persimmons, We all doubled it basically just by adding the paper and a piece of string. So, how you market things, it can sometimes be important. Okay, ice cream bananas. Hey, most people know those, but they're still on there because I like them. And that in the Four Seasons, the former chef there was helping me unload boxes from the back of my truck for an event, and it was right in the section near where they have the outdoor auditorium, but it's also by the exit door of the spa, Four Seasons Spa. So then a father and son walk out of the spa, and the little boy looks at all the stuff in my truck, and "Is- Daddy, I want a blue banana." And oh, son, there's no such thing as a blue banana. Excuse me, sir. And we gave him a blue Java, and the little kid was really happy, and the chef was really happy, and the guy wrote the manager of the Four Seasons, and it's nice when a plan comes together. Okay, Matt, ice cream bean. Get the feeling I like ice cream. Um, these are hard to cook with, but when we have a lot of them fell that weren't quite ready yet from the storm, but there's still a lot on the trees. Um, we sell them for a dollar a piece at the Saturday market that we have. Uh, Canada used to call me all the time. One of the chains in Toronto, and they wanted a container. They wanted how often could we send a small airline container of full of ice cream beans? And I'm thinking, geez, I can't get 50 of them at one time to give to a restaurant, and you guys want a container every month. So there's if there's a quantity, there's a way to market it and sell it and make a market. And I tell people when they come on Saturdays, and sometimes there's 50 people sitting around here talking stories, so you're all welcome. But you got two choices. You either grow something that fits into an existing market like avocado or mango, even Suriname cherry, things that are out there and at least all the locals know about, or you start growing a cha-cha or ma prang or some of these other bizarre fruit that they don't know about, and you build that market up. I mean, that's what Terry did with Kona dragon fruit. Nobody knew dragon fruit 25 years ago. I mean, it was virtually unheard of. There was one guy on Hilo who grew it because he came back here from Nam, and he liked the dragon fruit he had in Vietnam. And so he started growing it in Hilo, which is not the best place to grow a cactus, but he got it and it worked out fine. So you've got all kinds of choices. These were brought here in 1928 to shade coffee, right, Andrea? How many do you want for all the orchards? Okay, Matt. Chibouticaba, most God, we had great after the storms. Everything just blew up. The biggest ones we ever had of the regular variety. There's one guy in Hilo has a collection of 40 some different types of Chibouticaba, and there's a lot of them out there. Red ones. We have a white one here that's really green, and lots of different purple ones, including Paulista. This is not a really good picture. I got to get a different one because when they get really big, they are can be almost baseball size. I mean, yeah, Jaboticaba that's almost a baseball size. Andrea has to look out her window and see if they're there. Or are you in the back now, Matt? Anyway, in right behind your office building in the little orchard, the first Jaboticaba tree is Paulista, and it's usually around the beginning of May, and they're monsters. So you got to check it out. You better let me know too. Okay, next. Katsura. This is a new one I got from the same guy who's got the all of the Jaboticaba. It's an African vine, And Vine puts out these things are bigger than baseball or softball size. And when they're ripe, in the two different cultivars, when they're ripe, you just kind of pull out the section, and it just suck it out with one little seed in it, and it's not like it has a great taste, but it's really refreshing. So it's like a palate cleanser. But if it's an African vine and you're thirsty, this is how you're going to get your moisture. And it's kind of just a neat thick vine as a boundary plant would work really well. But you got to know the taste, which is I kind of like. So next, kokum is another like koa. It's another strange South Indian Garcinia, and they also you can see in this one where the rind is salted and dried, and they make the juice from the kokum and koa skins. And my uh, since the dried rinds last a long time, and there's a lot of old trees in South. The center of genetic diversity is Udupi, which is south of Goa and north of Mangalore, and they have a couple different cultivars there. They but people don't use the fruit, so they just put all the fruit in a bowl and just wanted the rinds, and I'm just scooping out the fruit and gulping it down and taking the seeds and and putting them in my pocket. And they were, don't worry, Lisa, I declared the seeds, no problem. Um, that's back when we could hand carry stuff. So anyway, it's another great South Indian Garcinia. It's definitely more tart than mangosteen, but it's a pleasant tart. Okay, another Artocarpus. Um, the Quaimook, these things are, I don't know, golf ball size or so, and you can see it still has, this one wasn't quite ripe, but it was the only one I could reach. Uh, and it still has the latex, but it's soft pink with little white seeds when it's ripe, and it's really a great taste. You wouldn't think that it would be compared to either jackfruit or breadfruit, but it is, and it's a really pleasant type of taste. And it we definitely should have more trees around here. And when they get after 50, 60 years, they get to be great shade trees for coffee and other smaller shrubs and trees, which is common in Queensland. Okay, Matt, this is a pretty strange Artocarpus too, and you take out the little red sections and just kind of eat that and spit out the seeds, but it's weird because the fruit and seeds are on the outside. Uh, I don't know why it grows this way or what's it called. Maybe Tracy would know. But actually, it's a really sweet taste, and the people that have had it really, really enjoy it. Also, this one was from Hilo. Okay, Matt, Lulo or Naranjilla. Um, you can get the Kejo Farmers Market. You can usually get seeds and a drink from Bruce Corker, who back in the 60s when he was in the Peace Corps, his job was to set up the Lulo Cooperative in Colombia, and where Lulo is the Colombian name, Naranjilla, and I can't trill my R's anymore. That is a more common name in Spanish-speaking countries. But I once asked at the food show in Japan, I asked the Colombian Minister of Ag, about how they were marketing the fruit with Tropical Maria, and they say, well, it's really thanks to the U.S. we can market all of this, and because we give them money to fight drugs in Colombia, and they use it to marketing their fruit in Japan, which, in a way makes sense, but um, they do a good job of it. You can buy canned Lulo juice in the vending machines in parts of Japan now. Or you could go to Keio Farmers Market and taste it. Okay, Matt. Matt, yep, there he is. Okay, this is like my new favorite one here, and um, actually one of the uh, venues in Florida called me at 6 this morning wanting to get some trees of this that I got to package up. Bouya macrophylla is a mango cousin. Um, it's mango plum. Sometimes it's called Marion plum. There's a bunch of different names in a lot of different languages from Southeast Asia. This one is called Meong Chit, this cultivar, which is a lot sweeter than some of them. So in Thai, there's five different levels and different varieties for, from sour to sweet. So, and people like different ones, so they keep producing the different ones. But at the same time, they're looking for sweeter and sweeter ones. So, a month and a half ago, when I was there eating a pile like this almost daily, they had a new one called Wan and or Wan Wan, which is a sound a dog makes in Japanese. So sometimes I was getting confusing because I left Chiang Mai for Tokyo. But hey, do you have any wan to eat? And they didn't work in Japan. But these are just great fruit. There's a couple producing trees in Hilo. We had one that was flowering, but we just moved it from a 100-gallon pot into the ground, so we got to wait a year for it to flower again. But I brought back 500 seeds, and there was another 500 in the shipment that couldn't go because of the guy whose skin kind of looks like this. But I'll try to stay away from politics, Matt. That's always dangerous. Go ahead. Midgeon or medium berry is every in California and Florida, we've been working with these things for the last 25 years, trying to get it to produce the way it produces in Australia. And it turns out all the seeds came from the same source. And the only way to get different seeds is to either find somebody who grows it, which is few and far between in Australia, or go to its native habitat on Johnston Island off the coast of Queensland, southern Queensland, and fight. It's the densest population in the world of poisonous spiders. So I'm not, this is a big shrub, so I'm not too anxious to go there. But Matt, if you want to go, maybe I'll figure it out. Um, but it's a white blueberry basically, and it grows fine in the tropics. And it tastes like a blueberry. And if we could actually get those growing here, we wouldn't have the same problems with blueberries we have now. We'd still have birds, but you wouldn't have all the other issues with growing them at different elevations because these would grow fine at, sea level basically. Okay. Jackfruit. We used to have the Guinness Book of Records in Kona. In fact, we had the world's largest jackfruit, world's largest soursop, mango, and avocado were all Guinness Book of Records for Kona. And now they've kind of split up and moved on from here, but we got it started. Um, the jackfruit we had was 80 pounds. And a couple years later, this was a jackfruit festival. The top center was a jackfruit festival in Calcutta, India, and that one was 104 pounds. And I said, "Do you want to put it I can sign the paper because I do that for Guinness, to authenticate it. Oh, no, no, we're gonna grow 200-pound one, then you never catch us. So I don't know what happened after that, but it was pretty good. So, okay, Matt. Oh, Halo. Francis C. once gave me 200 Ohalo berries to try at low elevation, and I killed every one of them. Tracy, didn't we go up to get more at Volcano Station once, I think? And it just didn't make it. Okay, Matt. Ray, I don't know if you heard about this or I talked about it before. Ray, also called Davidsonian plum, is another one from Queensland. And it's a very tall, spindling thing. And I had coming back the day after the storm, we kind of feared the worst that all the tops would have gone off these trees, but they just all swayed in the wind. They come from an area that's used to F5 typhoons, so nothing phased them. Um, One crop can be 500 fruit under the canopy of serrated leaves. And they're tall. I mean, to the point where you expect to see a brontosaurus coming over the top, munching on the fruit. Uh, they are probably one of the oldest cultivated fruits. There's cave paintings of Olray and finger limes that they estimate to be about 60,000 years old in northern Queensland. So it's been cultivated in the Aboriginal areas for that long. Uh, we I brought him in. The first one in Hawaii was about 30, 28 years ago or so. And since then, we've made lots of trees, and some of them are starting to fruit in other locations now, or some of them have been fruiting in other locations now. At the culinary school in Innisfell in North Queensland, they make a lot of different products from dried powders to cookies, wines, jellies, syrups, salad dressings, everything with this. It's in a sense it can be used to make anything like our jibote kava or some of the other things that make more than jelly out of it anyway. But we sell the jelly and sometimes syrup. Really good stuff. Okay, Matt. Pedali. Um, it's like meringue or another Artocarpus odoratissimus called meringue. This one, the Seriocarpus, it is very sweet. Tastes like, whipped meringue on the inside. It's just a hairy version of meringue, but it's a little bit sweeter, maybe 5 points on a brick scale sweeter than a meringue. So it was really good. But Peter Solaris, who's been here a couple times, a friend from Queensland, we went and got his cherry picker to get up into the tree to get some, and we both sat in the back of the truck I was using and must have finished off half a dozen of them. So um, just really good tasting fruit, kind of can't stop eating it type. Okay, Matt, pull us on. Thank you, Tracy, wherever you are. These things are really it's kind of rubbery thorns instead of hairy ones like rambutan. It's considerably sweeter than rambutan. I think the federal station in Hilo has maybe as many as 8 different cultivars. I don't know. You can correct me, Tracy, but they're really good, and hopefully you can try that. We've got about 10, 15 trees going now that only a foot tall. They are water heavy. They don't really like Kona side. We've lost some big ones, but now we've got one more going and in a new shaded area with a double emitter on it. So hopefully we can, of course, then we've been getting more rain than Hilo anyway. All right, Matt. Well, this was A to Z. I had to have a Q somewhere, so Madeline, I can't say it anymore. Spanish lime. This is like the number one fruit in Puerto Rico. I mean, we have one producing tree that I know of on Kauai. I don't know if there's one in the park or the station here or not. Um, they say you need the male and female to get these fruit that people say they will suck on for 3 or 4 hours. But the tree in at the National Tropic Botanic Garden on Kauai, there is only one, and it produces yearly. So nobody knows where it gets pollinated from. So it must be hermaphroditic. Okay, Matt, Rollinia. Uh, I understand, Lisa, that you identified leaf hoppers as spreading this virus or Annona blight that's been hitting especially hard Rollinia trees and soursop. Um, I lost my Rollinia tree, so looking for more. But if you haven't tasted it, it's like to me like lemon caramel custard pudding. So, and I have gotten them on all sides of the island and pretty much on all islands, so you should be able to find it. Hey, Matt, Salak. I just posted on our Facebook page a picture of a big bunch of Salak on one of my snake fruit trees that I found this morning. These, with all the different species and cultivars in Southeast Asia of these things, if you tried one once and didn't like it, it would be a good idea to try them again. Some you need male and female, some you need both. They're easy, they seem to be easy to hybridize between the species, but it's definitely worth it. To me, it's like a sweet water chestnut, and others are more kind of like a lemony water chestnut, but definitely worth a shot. And they've got monstrous 2-inch thorns at the bases, so they're good boundary plants, which is why they're all on my Mackay boundary. They don't stop cows, but they will give pigs a hard time. So, okay. Sator, this we just got a lot of them going, and um, thanks to the USDA and Hilo for some seeds that via our conference there. Um, I mean, you think with the name stink beans or garlic beans, people, yeah. Uh, Actually, I've had these cooked a lot of different ways in Southeast Asia over the last 30 years. The best one is from Borneo, where they mix the beans inside these long pods with fermented durian, and they kind of stir fry that, and you just like eat it with a cracker or something. And yeah, it smells, but the taste is so good and so unique. It's like when I think of umami, I think of you've got flavor A and flavor B, and instead of when you mix them, tasting both, you mix them and it comes up with flavor C. And so it's totally different than fermented durian or the beans, the garlic beans, but it still smells. Okay. Sea grapes, I mean, they're pretty common at low elevations. This is a tree from the parking lot at the Hilton on Kauai. and it's the best one and largest one I ever had. Bright red when it's ripe, anyway, and just really good for jellies and sauces and reductions and things. And so there's a couple restaurants that have started using these on Kauai. Okay. And soursop is another problem with Annona, with leaf hoppers on Annona. And it hasn't been producing. They haven't produced as good as they have in the past, and I have a feeling that's from that too. Uh, but you can ask Lisa Keith at USDA for more information soon, or I think maybe Andrea is going to put together a another Zoom or something on that. Okay, Matt. Suriname cherry. The Yeah, where the red ones are common, we've started growing the black ones. We had two cultivators from here, uh, Sturmer and Kawahara. They were both from Holualoa. The Kawahara is a seedling of the Sturmer, which we've grafted both of them. Although the ones at UH of the project there that we funded in Kainaliu are mostly ZIL Suriname cherry. There's one row of the ones that were grafted from these. Um, we challenged our culinary students to come up with different dishes. So they did a Suriname Suriname cherry curry in the lower middle, and then they made ice cubes out of it with Rangpur lime juice, and they called this the Rising Sun. And I asked, well, then why'd you leave the space, at the top of the glass? They said, well, that's so you can put your sake in. So it works too. Can't remember what happened after that though. Next, Matt, Tampoy. I like this so much better than mangosteen. It's just ridiculous. This whole family of Beccaria is so foreign to us here, so unique and such great taste. Uh, Beccaria ramiflora is Burmese grape. That's more common, and there's a number of those trees around the state. But this one, Tampoy, there's not that many of. And you can see this again, it's the palm of my hand. So it's a fairly large fruit once you crack off the skin, which is kind of like mangosteen in the sense that it's firm or hard, although it's no relation to Garcinia. Um, but just, they're everything I wish mangosteen was, because they're super sweet with a tiny amount of acid in it, not just cloyingly sweet like mangosteen. So, and it's common in North Queensland, Borneo, New Guinea, very equatorial in that sense, but great tasting fruit. And there's about six, I think there's six different colors of these. So they're not, besides orange, there's white, brown, ripe one green, and red. Shockingly bright red. Hey, Matt. Tropical apricot is a relative of the Kitambila or Ceylon gooseberry you saw before. It's a cross between Kitambila and another Dovialis abyssinica, which is a yellow fruit. And it's another fruit terrine we made using the tropical apricot, which is pretty sour, although we have one that's mildly sour now after working with these and just keep growing them out, the sweetest ones after 30 years. So I mean, I'm 30 years into it and it's still not sweet where some people do buy little cartons of them from Choice Mart and just eat them, but it's not sweet to the point where it would be well accepted by the majority. But it's definitely worth investing in. It produces a lot of fruit, and if you're into making anything from juice to jelly to jello, or smoothies and salad dressings, it's definitely a way to get a good tasting acid. Okay, ume. You probably know umeboshi. There's actually five types of Prunus mume. um, Ko, Chuo, Dai, Tsumomo, and Anzu. The big Japanese umeboshi are Anzu, which is apricot, and it's a cross. And the little ones you buy Ko ume in the stores here. There's a little tiny one mixed in your musubi or something on the surface of it. This is Chuo ume, which besides being a plum originating southern China, it's kind of a little bigger than a quarter, I guess. And when they're hard and they first turn purple, they're sour. But you wait a week and they're soft. They're just like damsons or any really good dark purple plum. And plum sauce, plum jelly, plum everything you can make with it. Or like they did here, a vinaigrette. Um, anyway, it's all the other thing is that uh, you probably hear about the Florida peaches and things, and they did a test a couple years ago at UH. The problem with buying Florida peaches is the rootstock. They're all shipped in on what Nemagard rootstock, which requires 1,600 chill units. At 1,600 um, hours of 40 degrees or less for it to be able to produce fruit. Now, there's always exceptions, nothing set in stone, so you may get a few, but generally you don't. And it certainly doesn't produce like a normal fruit tree. But grafted onto Chua Ume, which will produce at 200 feet in Kona, which I think was the lowest that I tested it at. You graft onto that, you can get some of the Florida peaches. Although I just stick with the Ceylon or Mysore peaches, work just as good on their own rootstock. Okay, Matt. I needed a V2 for the A to Z, but actually I've got two producing trees of this Voavanga, and it really does taste like tamarind, but it produces much better and the bugs don't get it. When these things kind of get overripe and they get squishy on the bark, you just break them open and crack them open, and you have the equivalent of tamarind. Okay, Wampy. I don't know how many are familiar with this tree. Wampy is another kind of citrus cousin. You get all these bunches that hang down this evergreen tree, like bunches of grapes on a bushy tree, and a really nice dark waxy leaves, and you kind of just they're poppers, you just kind of bite it and squeeze out the center because the skin is rather bitter. Um, Another fruit that originated in southern China, and in China they have the different cultivars are all named for Tai Chi movements, and the one we got here is stroking the wild horse's mane, wampy fruit. And yeah, it's but they're good. And you come over, they're just starting to set fruit now. So a few weeks, you can come try one. Okay, Matt. Water apple, like mountain apple or wax apple, another syzygium. These are given to women after childbirth in Malaysia. You can have one of these or a bottle of Gatorade and get the same benefit in electrolytes. So I like these a lot. Okay. watermelon. I needed an X, right? So watermelon in Chinese, Xigua, I think it's how it's pronounced, Suica in Japanese. And you know, stealing picture. Then at the Four Seasons, he flattened it, and made a this compressed watermelon with feta cheese and avocado mousse and little leaves on. Man, was that thing good? Liquid olives. That was I had never had compressed watermelon like that, but it was pretty ono. Okay, Matt, yuzu. Um, every time I go to pick one of my yuzu to make something, my son, who's been a chef for almost 30 years here, has beat me to it. So I just gave up and buy stuff in Japan that he can't get to. So he saved me one this year. But yeah, we've got a couple producing yuzu trees. A lot of the yuzu that's being sold to the hotels and different companies is not yuzu. It's Ponderosa lemon or some other bizarre citrus. I've even seen the Jambiri, the bumpy lemons, being sold as yuzu, and they're not. So you have to be careful what you order or know the difference in tastes, because there's two main types of yuzu. This one and one called Jabara yuzu, which has a slightly different flavor. Matt, gotta have the Z, Sisyphus. Always have a hard time producing these here. There's one tree above Kona Airport, one up in Javi, supposedly a couple in Hilo, but I've never been able to clone it, either with cuttings in the greenhouse with foggers or misters. Hasn't worked. The seeds never germinate. So I haven't got around to finding those trees again and making air layers from it. But if anybody has them, let me know. I'd love to get some. Okay, Matt. There's a lot more I didn't even get into here. So I wanted to save time for questions, but Gumi Gutta on the upper left, Garcinia, you get probably bombed with spam mail. Take these Gumi Gutta pills of this rare fruit from India and lose 50 pounds overnight. Um, I ate the fresh fruit, which is really sour, and it didn't work it. Uh, Chupa Chupa in the middle is really good. Tastes like a sweet, stringy pumpkin. We have another version of it too from Ecuador that just produced Patinoa amaroja or Amarilla, not Amaryllis. I can't pronounce it. I'm forgetting it, but it's another great tasting one. We have Madrono or Garcinia Madrono on the lower left, and Beccaria angulata on the right. There's another Beccaria species, and uh, one of the strange durians on the upper right. So there's a lot of different fruit out there. I just finished a book that Bob Paul's looking at called 19 Degrees that examines each country and its fruit that are 19 degrees below and south of the equator. And because we're 19 degrees in Kona anyway, and 19 degrees in Chiang Mai and 19 degrees in Karnataka, India, what they grow that we don't have, I mean, it can work here. And to me, every new fruit that we find that growing in these locations represent a potential economic benefit for growers in Hawaii. So that's kind of my mission. Okay, Matt. Yeah, I don't have to get into this in the politics, although some people like and get Hawaiian ginger from California that's produce of China. Um, they're still doing it too. Okay, you can just flip through them if you like, Matt. So, is my pet peeve is cost of production. If you're a grower, I don't go to farmers markets. I wind up yelling at everybody because it costs, they're selling tangerines at 10 cents a piece or Meyer lemons at six for a dollar, and it costs 27 cents to produce one of them if they're fertilizing it all or doing an accurate cost of production. So we just need UH and the feds to help farmers better understand cost of production. Okay. You see, the rest of it is just my posters until the last one, Matt. So you can thumb through it. I don't expect you to read them all, but if you haven't seen them, then we can go back, and that's pretty much it.